All right, hey guys, I wanted to record a video. I'm going to go over some things real quick about iCube and the inspections on some problems we're seeing here in the office. So I've got a little video I'm going to send to each one of you. It'll help a little bit, and it'll keep us from having everybody have to come to the office and review this. So right now I've got NEMAX inspections pulled up. You can see here we've got ACE number 0. We've got no customer number. We've got ACE number 3. It skips, then ACE number 8, 10, 11, 15. And then you see the customer's number 103012. And one of the things that I want to point out is if you have a customer who has numbers with no letters or no special characters in their number for their equipment that exists already, what we can do is we can just go ahead and create our number to be the same as theirs. And I've done that on a couple here. This is what we're going to do. This customer is NEMAX, so I'm going to use this one as an example. Our ACE number is now 102012 to match theirs. So you guys also have, when we go into this, we've got a couple issues with some of this that I want to touch base on. You got a monorail over carousel 2, the description for these units. So this right here is a pretty decent description. It kind of gives you a little bit of area description, and it tells you that it's a monorail. The description isn't really about location. If your customer has a site that has a lot of areas, then the best thing would be to have a map and maybe do a pre-inspection review with your customer. This description is actually a brief description. Is what's wanted here is a brief detail about the monorail. Is it a U-shaped monorail? Is it a interlocking monorail? What's the capacity? How long is it? So if you see here, you've got approximate length 12 foot, 3 ton. This is all correct. So the correct description for this would be a 3 ton structural beam monorail. That's what it should say here, is 3 ton structural beam monorail. There's no hoist or trolley or anything on this particular unit. So we're going to review a couple different things. We're also going to review creating a new piece of equipment. We're going to review adding the correct data, the correct descriptions. So you've got a brand name here. It's really not needed. If you go into this piece of equipment, you can go to the bridge, and we've got DeShazo again. Again, not needed. Now we've got DeShazo here. So what this should say under bridge description, so to get to that, if you want to edit this, as you guys go and you see something that's not correct, I really need this changed. Like, you need to be reviewing, when you go to a piece of equipment, you need to be reviewing the serial number. Just take a quick glance, make sure it's right, make sure there's nothing in red. If one of these are in red, that means you're missing data. So just for instance, we say single girder, underrunning, DM, whatever that stands for. Underhung single girder or underhung double girder is the correct definitions for these. So right here we've got underrunning single girder. So I'm going to change this description. I'm going to pull this up. We're going to go in. We're going to change this. Should say underrunning single girder bridge crane. Finger's not working. So now you can see underrunning single girder bridge crane. That's what this is. Underrunning single girder bridge crane. And you can see this without having to go into detail. So what it does, it helps you identify it in looking for the unit. Same with the main description. It should just say 5 ton single girder underhung single girder bridge crane. So we're going to go to change this description. You're going to do the blue eye, and I'm having to look at the phone and back and forth to the TV, so excuse me. Description: 5 ton under running or underhung single girder bridge crane. It should really say underrunning. And if you've ever got a question with any of these, just let me know. Another thing you can see here is location. So this says coder. These are all of the different locations that people have made for NEMAC since we've started doing their inspections. It can be used for different areas. Typically what this is used for is if they have more than one plant. So typically, for example, say we're at TVA, you would have a location for Paradise, you would have a location for Cumberland City, you would have a location for Gallatin, and so on. You wouldn't have the scrubber building at Gallatin, the scrubber building at if I go into TVAs, I can see a lot of different locations that's been created. Location is actually the city and state for the site. So what we should have here is Dixon, Tennessee, Plant 1. That's really what should be here. These different areas, we're going to leave this one as is. And you can see somebody created an area that is called NEMAC, that is the same number or the same name as our customer. Where are you going? NEMAC. Where's it at? NEMAC. So we should have created a Dixon, Tennessee Plant 1 location is what these should be at. The location for the unit is put either in customer equipment number. So if you go back here, you can look, this is location coder. You can put the customer's number, located in coder department. So that is how that should read. Located in coder department, location, Dixon, Tennessee plant. That's where this should be. Let me see if any of these are missing. I had several of these that were also missing. And then we're going to go in and we're going to create a dummy one just so I can explain the proper procedures for creating a new inspection. So let me find one of these that's missing info. So right here you got a hoist. It's got the model, serial number. Well, everybody knows these are a bundled piece of equipment. So the hoist and trolley serial number is the same as the hoist trolley, or is the same as the hoist model and serial number. That info should have been entered there. It may be redundant for you. It takes 20 seconds or so to do it. But it's very, very important because when we're quoting these, the way this pulls up in the quote program, when they click on trolley, it shows the trolley model and serial number. Well, they have to go back and forth on screens, and the proper thing to do is if the hoist and trolley are a packaged unit, such as a Stahl SH model hoist, I believe this is an SH. No, it's an AS. So this model and serial number should be the same, and it should have went, type it in there too. It'll only take you a few seconds to do so. Sorry, Jason, I didn't mean to red button you on camera. There's proof. So you can see here we got a trolley that just says push. We got a jib crane that tells you the brand of the hoist. This is probably not a Harrington jib crane. Yeah, maybe it is. It's got no model and serial number. Even if there's not one available, you should put not available NA and put that there's not one found. We need to know this info. And then you got hoist here. It's a JD Newhouse, so it's an air chain hoist. and you got no description here. You got no description telling you that. So we can go in. What was the capacity on that? That is a quarter ton air chain hoist. So now quarter ton air chain hoist. That's how that should read. Several of these units over, you know, even on number of speeds, it says it's a push trolley, put number of speeds, push pull. Type it out. There should be no red numbers here, not available, whatever it may be. Another thing, gore bell trolleys, the trolleys inside of a jib crane that is a gore bell or a spanco, and it's the enclosed track, they are going to be the same serial number as your jib crane. Let's see if we got a serial number. We don't have any there. If you need help finding model and serial numbers on particular units, please give me a call. I'll be glad to help you. The only way you're going to learn is if you ask. Customers will stamp. Sometimes the stickers are hard to see, but I know just about, you know, where most of those are located, so you can call me and I'll help you find those, because it's important to have them. Without this information, we can do nothing in the office with quoting deficiencies found. And it takes away, you know, the tracking and record keeping of model and serial number. So, go to another unit. Yeah, FMJ, foundation mount jib, I guess. What that should say is quarter ton. This should say quarter ton jib crane. That's all that should be there. Electrification type. You know, all of this info needs to be filled out. There should be no red spaces anywhere on any inspection. So, I wanted to tell you guys also that you can correct the numbers, the ACE numbers. You can change these. You cannot insert letters. To do that, you press the blue eye, takes you to the main page. You can change its location, so you can go to location, and if it, you know, we've got 25 in location furnish, and it should be in coder, right? You can change it there. You could scroll through any one of these options and move it into that department. Also, you can add a new hoist or trolley. So one of the things I want to touch on real quick too is changing serial numbers on equipment. You're not allowed to change serial numbers on any bridge, any hoist, or any trolley in iCube. So if you go to hoist, you tap on serial number, you should get a warning that pops up. It says if the serial number has changed, then you should take this component out of service and find the component with the correct serial number and change its equipment number to this one. Or take this out of service and create a new one. This is what we should be doing. If you get to a hoist or a bridge or a jib, if you get to a monorail with a hoist and the hoist has a new manufacturer and serial number and or model, whatever it may be, it's not the same piece of equipment, you should take it out of service and create a new one. You never change the serial number on the unit. So when it says it will lose the inspection history of this component, if you change this number, every inspection that we've ever done will be lost. It will delete all of its history because that serial number no longer exists in the system. It wipes it out, so you can't. So I'm gonna press cancel there and get out. So how you do that is you scroll down to the bottom and you put remove from inspection. I'm just gonna tap it. This will delete any inspection data entered at this inspection, not history, at this inspection for this unit, and mark it as inactive. It doesn't delete the unit. What it does, it puts it in a list that you don't see, but you have the ability to go find and move around. And what you would do is you would click yes, and then you would scroll and you would put, you would go back. So now this hoist wouldn't be there if you clicked yes. This hoist component wouldn't be here. You would go to add new component, you would change that to hoist, you would create your new hoist component, which we're going to do on the ACE side, on the test side. All right, so I'm going to go out of this. I'm going to sync up real quick. Got an hour or two clocked in here. Might ought to clock out. I'm going to probably be in trouble on this. All right, so I'm going to go to sync. I've got some ACE inspections loaded up that we're going to make some changes to, mess around with. I did it on the work order coming up for our safety meeting there. So we've got no units on the got new units on this inspection. I'm going to add some. So if you ever go on a breakdown call and you see this is blank, we do this because the customer may not have give us the info we need to load the inspection. So you'll start out with this blank slate, or if it's a new customer, you'll start out with this blank slate. So you press the plus symbol. So these are all the units that Ace Industries has created. And earlier you heard me talking about locations. So I said the location shouldn't be shop or office or out front or, the carousel department or the heat treat department. It should be an address, the city and state of that facility. And that's, say NEMAC has, which we know they do, they have several different plants. So the location would be different plants, not different areas of one plant. So you can see here, this is our shops and our manufacturing facility in Cleveland. Examples, this is where people's doing what we're doing now. So people's got names in here where they went in and created tests, and see Brandon Beck created one here. So we're going to go to Nashville. We're going to see what we've got. It says Norcross. Well, hopefully our stuff hasn't been removed. All right. So it looks like our stuff has been removed. Ours, I think, just said Nashville. Yeah, it's gone. It was right there. Yep, our stuff is gone. It may be in another Ace Industries. May also be in another Ace Industries customer number. All right, so we're going to start with a new location then. So we'll create one new. We'll just say this is a new branch. You actually, if you tap anywhere here in the white, you're going to get the list. This is what's already existing. Let's see if Nashville's already been deleted as a location or was never created because we're in a different one. So I'm going to go cancel there. To create a new one, you tap the word new, and then it says, are you sure you want to create a new location? Make sure to check the current list of locations before creating a new one. So we're going to click yes, and we're going to put Nashville, Tennessee. You don't have to put the address. Nashville, Tennessee Service Center. That's the new location. It's equipment number 370 because that's the next one available. So if you go to a plant with new units, we're creating all new units at a plant that is no history of our inspection. This number will be 1 through however many they have. So this tells you how many people have created a unit, or they've cranked the unit number up If you go to your customer site and you put the first unit is ACE number 3048, when you go to create a new unit, it's going to go to 3049. It automatically does that. So customer equipment number, we're just going to put that as shop repair area workstation cream. I don't know why that says cream. All right, description. It is a 2-ton under hung single girder workstation. See. So 2-ton underhung single girder workstation crane. Add new component, runway. Save. Add new component, bridge. Save. Add new component, hoist. Save. Add new component, trolley. Save. Add new component, pendant remote. So normally this hoist would have a 2-button pendant hanging from the Harrington hoist that's on it. No other functions are powered. So if you have this, a 2-button only remote or push button station, a 2-button push button station hanging from the hoist, you do not have to create a new pendant remote as a component. If you have a radio remote as your 2-button push button station for this unit, you have to create a pendant remote. That way you can give the details about it. And here's the reason why. So if you've got a CM hoist hanging up there and you've got a 2-button pendant station hanging from it, 99% chance that it's going to be the 2-button pendant station that came with that hoist. So the model serial number will tell us how many feet of pendant it had when it was sold. It'll tell us what we need for repair parts. Aftermarket can be added. So if you notice that you've got a Harrington hoist hanging up there and you've got a insulate Conductix pendant hanging from it, create this and give us that info. That's when you would create this. But the purpose of this is to give us the info that the manufacturer may not give us. The manufacturer may not give us when we're creating this, so we can quote repairs. So we're going to create a pendant remote because our unit has a 4-button alpha radio system. So I don't have the model and serial number, so I'm going to go back there and get those later after the video. But the description on the runway is just going to be enclosed track runway. And in front of that, I'm going to put 2-ton. Save. General type, underrunning. Specific type, enclosed track. It is fed with festoon. And it's about 28 feet in length. So that's our runway. Let's see if that comes up. Another thing is after you've created the runway, you've entered the description, and you've selected all of this, I want to go back and show you something. So we just created that unit. Let me get here. So we created a new unit. We've clicked this. We've created our new unit. Now it shows up in Nashville, Tennessee Service Center. So you tap here in the white. It selects the unit. You can see it highlighted gray. Add selected. It may kick back to the main screen, which happens sometimes, or you'll get the sync now, forever hold your peace. Always a yes. If anything ever asks you if you want to sync, you say yes. You don't want to lose your data. You can see there my phone did kick back to the main screen, which is normal. It happens. So we've got ACE number 370434, the shop repair area workstation crane. It's a 2-ton underhung single girder workstation crane. And that actually says cream, so I'm going to fix that. tap on the blue eye. Save. So you can see I put that description in here, but I didn't for anything else. So when I created these, I didn't have this selected. So what that's going to do is that's going to put every option. You can see we've got enclosed track runway, which means we don't have structural I-beams. We don't have ASCE rail. I selected festoon, so we don't have conductor bar. We don't have collector shoes, that sort of thing. But since I entered it without giving those details first, the inspection point will have all of those items. Here's what I'll show you what I mean here. So we're going to select runway. You can see the info I've put in. Well, you can see support runway beams or track, alignment elevations, rail and bar, disconnect, festoon. Well, it did take. Let me refresh this and see what this does. 0 points. All right, so I'm going to do, so it did take. I'm going to show you on the hoist what I'm talking about here. You can see this is all red. So I'm going to type in the white area as if we're going to inspect it. So you can see it says footwalk guards, end trucks, rail sweeps, bumpers, geared wheels, geared wheel lubes, wheel bearings. So if I go back, we're just going to use these as a reference. Geared wheels, geared wheel lube. Motors, drive gear cases, we're going to use those. Just keep that in mind. The brakes, geared wheels, and geared wheel lube. I'm going to go back. We'll tap on the blue eye, and I'm going to put a description in. Enclosed track under running bridge. Save. Then I'm going to go to the general type, under running single girder. Cross conductor is festoon. The drive, none. It's push pull, so there are none. Manual does not mean push pull. Manual means hand chain. So if it's push pull, you should be selecting none. Manufacturer, that particular manufacturer, that is a CM load rail system, so CM is going to be our manufacturer. Oh, look at there, it's got a load rail. Serial number, we're not going to put that in yet. Power type, none. There is no power. It is push pull. Capacity, 2 tons. Trucks are a fixed axle. Means the axle stays stationary and the bearing rotates around the axle. That is a fixed axle. A rotating axle is the structure, outside structure is stationary and the axle rotates inside of the bearing. So fixed axle, approximate span, 17 foot. Number of speeds, we all know it's not powered, but I'm still going to put push pull because we don't want any blank spaces. Done. So now you can see I've selected all of these items here. You go back into the inspection, you can see that we've still got geared wheels, geared wheel lube, wheel bearings will still remain, but the motors, drive gear cases, well, we know that's push pull and it don't have those items. So now that I've created the components, when you go in and you select all the different types, whether it's center drive, whether it's push pull, whether it's air, it changes these components, these inspection points that apply to that particular type of equipment. So what you can do is you reach up and you press this refresh button and you're going to see 30 points. So before I correctly put the amount of items in there, we had 45 items to look at. It took 30 items that we would have needed to inspect away. In other words, what it's done, it's correctly put the items we need to look at for this particular component. These items match the unit that we just did the input for. And the same goes for your hoist. So if we go to hoist, you can see we all know the one back here in our shop is not a wire rope hoist. And it's not going to have both. It's going to have one or the other. And you can see all the other items. We got hand chain wheel. We know it's electric. It's not going to have any of this. So that's where, when you create a component, that's what all of this info does. It creates the inspection points that apply to this type of equipment. So you go to the blue eye again, description, 2 ton electric chain hoist. Look, that thing's starting to memorize me. General type, electric. Lifting medium chain. Manufacturer, it's a Harrington. Then that's where we're going to enter our model number, serial number. I'm going to go back and add those, capacity to. And then approximate lift required. Just keep in mind you can use, your height and multiplication to try to put an approximate lift. Try to be as accurate as you can, because if you put 15 in this box and then you write up the load chain needs to be replaced, and we go to quote it, we're going to use the number you put in, and we're going to add like a foot for the reeving, whether it be through an under block or over and out the chain container. Some manufacturers are 6 inches, some are a foot. It just depends on the brand and the type. But try to be as accurate as you can with this. Another thing with span, when you determine span and runway length, just remember most brackets are on a 5-foot span. So if you've got festoon brackets, you can count by fives on how many brackets are up there. Same with the runway. Conductor bar brackets are on 5-foot centers, so you can multiply that way. Or you can find out how long your bay is. I know a couple of you guys in our group have some laser tapes. You can measure the width of the bay. You can do this stuff pretty quickly with one of those, and some of those laser tapes are really inexpensive. So approximate lift back there, I'm going to say 13 feet. That's pretty close. Voltage, it's 463 phase, 60 hertz. Number of speeds, it is single. And you can put in here, you can put single if you know that it's 8 feet per minute, 16 feet per minute hoist. You can put single speed, 8 feet per minute if you want to. That helps. That does help. So how that would help is if I was replacing gearing and I went and looked at speeds and I seen there was 8 foot per minute, you just explained to me some reeving info and some gearing info. So it can be helpful. It's not a must, but it does help. Lot, code, and catalog. So this catalog number is for a lot of Lift-Tech products have catalog numbers. They used catalog numbers. We have a Harrington back there, and Harringtons have this lot and code number. And these are on here. This is a recent addition into iCube. This hasn't always been here. One of the reasons this got added, 2 reasons. One is people was confusing the model number with these 2 numbers, and the model will be an ER or an NER. Another thing these do is tell you whether it's a version 1 or a version 2. So these numbers help us a lot in the quoting, inspection repair quoting process. The guys on the team, or whether we do them local, this is a huge help. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to pass along data that we need to quote repairs. Otherwise, we would just need this one number, and that's just for record keeping. The rest of this is a tool that helps us with the quoting repair quote process. So I'll go back and I'll enter those numbers. So we've changed all of that. You can see we got wire rope on here. Let's see, it's going to take away 13 components. Now it goes straight to load chain. So you can see all of the stuff that we didn't need is gone. We do have a couple customers that ask us to do the chain gauge measurement. If it's not specified on the description on your work order, you can just delete it. And then same for the hook throat measurements. A lot of hook throat measurements have to happen once before you get a true measurement, and it's recommended that if the hook doesn't already have trim marks, it's recommended that it's done on the first inspection when the unit's new. And if you start measuring the throat on a 15-year-old crane, how do you know it's not already started stretching? But it gives you something to monitor. So if you get to a hook and you do have a description in your work directive that tells you to measure the throat openings. You can simply take a punch if it doesn't have what's called tram marks in the hook to measure from. Take a punch and make you a set of marks, and we'll start the measurements from there. But otherwise, just put NA here, NA there. And then overload device, I wanted to explain something here. Overload device, there's a couple different types, and you can feel free to write whichever one you want there. There are, if you have issues with the overloads, which are current limiting overloads that protect the motor, and they're on the bottom of your contactors or they're a separate device, they could really go, I would put those under fusing or contactors because they are a motor protection device. There are also overloads inside of the gear case as a slip clutch. Some of those can be an overload device, and that's not a load brake. A load brake is different than a slip clutch for overload protection. You could write that up there. Unit is slipping at 50%. Overload clutch needs to be replaced. And another thing that you could put here is an external electrical mechanical device that may be on, let's say, the dead end of the wire rope. They have a mechanical device up there where if you pull down too much, it trips a micro switch and that prevents it going up. There's a problem with it, it would go to overload. So if you guys see things with issues with overloads, and they are current limiting overloads, as in they are in line with the motor control circuit, they really need to go under fusing or contactors. And another thing is motor thermals. If you came to a motor where the thermals are bypassed, somebody's bypassed them because they're bad and they still wanted to run. If you had an issue with that, I recommend putting that under fusing because it is also a motor protection.